There is an unquestioned axiom at the very heart of the Warhammer 40,000 universe, a deep psychological illusion that infects every single human mind. From the most pious priest to the simplest Hive world worker, they universally hold one thing sacred: the sanctity of the human body. They believe their physical form is the temple of the God Emperor, a holy vessel that deserves a restful, quiet burial. But today on HaqqRift, we are going to look into the abyssal maw of Imperial logistics and shatter that sacred delusion. What if your final act of faith is not to rest under a holy symbol, but to feed your neighbor? Today, we confront the horrifying reality of Corpse Starch, the ultimate terrifying triumph of absolute pragmatism over human empathy. Prepare to understand that in the 41st millennium, the most merciful fate for the human body is to become industrial energy. To understand why the Imperium forces its citizens to eat their ancestors, we must first look at the horrifying mathematics of a hive world. These are not planets. They are colossal Gothic termite mounds, colossal industrial prisons where quintillions of human beings are stacked on top of each other, struggling to breathe poisoned air, and all utterly dependent on a centralized, fragile, and often completely broken logistics network. A hive world does not possess farmlands. It has no agriculture. The sun never reaches the ground, and the soil has long since been poisoned by centuries of toxic industrial sludge. Yet, quintillions of workers must be fed every single cycle just to keep the manufactorums running. A hungry populace is a weak populace, susceptible to rebellion, susceptible to the whispers of chaos, and susceptible to Xeno's invasion. The Imperium does not feed its people because it cares for their comfort. It feeds them because hunger is an inefficient vector that destroys productivity. Therefore, the administratum performing the cold, biological arithmetic knows that importing entire continents of grain is logistically impossible. Rations are a strategic resource, a finite currency more valuable than gold. And in this equation of total existential war, there is absolutely zero room for the luxury of morality or the weakness of human disgust. Logic dictates that we must find the cheapest, most readily available, and most efficient source of protein. And the answers, with terrifying simplicity, is you. Let us delve deeper into the mechanical heart of this pragmatism. Innocence proves nothing. This is the official logic of the Inquisitor. But waste is heresy. This is the official logic of the logistics engine. The Imperium is a monolithic machine where every single human soul is considered a disposable, replaceable cog. The logic continues, asking a question: why should that cog be allowed to cease its service just because its heart has stopped beating? When a hive world worker collapses on the factory floor, there is no funeral. There is no moment of silence. There is no priest to deliver a sermon for their soul. That body is not a tragedy. It is just unrefined resources. The corpse grinders, the mechanical scavengers of the underhive, do not perform a burial, they perform a harvest. They are gatherers of raw biological matter. With mechanical apathetic efficiency, they collect the dead, the mutated, and the terminally ill, and they throw them all into massive, screaming Gothic industrial machines. And these grinders do not read your purity seals before they dissolve your flesh. They do not respect your prayers. They reduce every single human being, their history, their faith, their entire existence, into a single, homogeneous, grey nutrient paste, a grey slurry of protein and calcium, chemically filtered, stripped of its identity, and then pressed into identical, unfeeling ration bricks. This is not food. It is industrial lubricant for the human machine, and the Imperium will not allow taboo to stand in the way of efficiency. We judgment this. We view it from our comfortable reality as a horrifying, cannibalistic atrocity. We look at a society forced to eat itself and we scream, "The system is broken." But in the 41st millennium, that is the peak of absolute philosophical heresy. The system is not broken. The system is functioning perfectly. To eat the dead is not an act of evil. It is the ultimate, inescapable act of holy service. Think about the sheer humiliating absurdity of it. Your entire life has been a preparation for this final, absurd sacrifice. You are taught to love the Emperor. You are taught to sacrifice everything for him. But what have you actually given him? Your labor is worth nothing. Your life is meaningless. But your body has value. Your body contains unrefined energy. By becoming corpse starch, you are not simply being eaten. You are being recycled. You are being physically transformed into a resource that allows another worker to keep pushing the button. You are not resting in peace. You are fueling the very war machine you were taught to pray for. The dead feed the living so that the living can die, so that they can feed the next generation, so that the galaxy can keep spinning in agony. It is the ultimate form of divine mercy for the species. If burying the dead is a sacred rite, then recycling them is a logistical prayer, and it is the only remaining form of logic. It is here, in the cold light of this pragmatism, that we must finally confront the complete and utter absurdity of all human ritual. Think about how we categorization ourselves. The planetary governor sits upon a throne of gold, convinced that his bloodline makes him divine. The wealthy noble builds an elaborate gilded mausoleum for his own body, convinced that his final rest deserves monuments. They demand to be the heroes of their own tragedy. What an unimaginable level of hubris. How can you look at a galaxy on the edge of a literal hell and decide that your species and your species alone deserves the comfort of a peaceful burial? The chapter master and the beggar are both violently reduced to the exact same metric, 70 kilograms of protein. Your history, your faith, your entire saga are absolutely meaningless in the face of digestion. They must create a society where paranoia is not a mental illness. It is the highest civic duty. The Imperium does not just encourage suspicion, it weaponizes it. It forces the mother to watch the son. It demands that every citizen become a vigilant spy for the state. We look at this and we call it an Orwellian nightmare. But the Inquisitor looks at it and calls it quarantine. In a dark forest galaxy where every shadow holds a predator and where that predator can wear the smiling face of your own family, absolute paranoia is the only sane response. If the Inquisition becomes kind, tolerance is a glitch. It is the structural foundation of our survival. This is the final, most terrifying philosophical truth of Warhammer 40,000. The system is functioning exactly as it was designed to. The cruelty is not a glitch, the cruelty is the operating system. The paranoia is the structural foundation that holds the walls up. By saving the species, the Emperor created a galaxy-spanning engine that produces nothing but suffering. And the darkest tragedy of W40K is that this suffering is not meaningless. It is food. Think about the horrifying mathematics of resistance. When an Inquisitor orders the exterminatus, the complete atmospheric incineration of a planet holding 30 billion souls, they are not doing it because all 30 billion are guilty. They do it because they cannot be absolutely certain that even one of them isn't corrupted. In their horrifying arithmetic, the lives of 29 billion completely innocent people are a perfectly acceptable price to pay to ensure that a single demonic incursion does not spread to the rest of the sector. The paranoia engine must be fueled. It requires a constant sacrifice, not of bolter shells, but of human beings, to value individual human life. They fail. We look at the unspeakable cruelty of the secret police, the torture chambers, the black ships filled with screaming psychers being fed to the Golden Throne, and we naturally think this system is broken. We think that humanity has simply lost its way. But no, the Imperium must be a monster, because it is trapped in a room with gods who want to eat it. When we pull back and look at the entirety of the Imperium of man, we are staring into a mirror that reflects our own absolute insignificance. What happens when staying alive becomes the ultimate justification for any atrocity? For 10,000 years, the paranoia engine has held the Imperium together. They have survived. They have outlasted gods and machines. But look at what they have had to become to achieve that survival. They have created a prison built not of iron bars, but of weaponized faith, of infinite, grinding, inescapable fear. It is the perfect, unbreakable cage, where you are the prisoner, the guard, and the judge all at once. If you have the courage to face these dark truths, if you want to keep looking into the abyss where the rest of the galaxy is too afraid to look, join the Rift. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button to feed the algorithm, and if you wish to support the production of this grimdark philosophy, the PayPal link is in the description below. Treat me to a coffee so we can keep the fires burning just a little longer in the dark. The galaxy is burning. Welcome to the Rift.